Tina, you know the rules, no droids, no bounty hunters, no Raylos, no nobodies, no Antifa, no BLM, no SJWs at all. We do this because we love Star Wars and movie making and film and talking about the culture, pop culture, and other things. First off, I want to say Wall Street Journal has a pretty good sale on subscriptions this month. $4 and something per month. So if you want a decent, I would say a really good newspaper that'll tell you a little bit about the, uh, the financial world and everything else, get it. I have and I love it. I feel like a grown up when I grab it on Saturday mornings. You get one delivered on Saturday, and it is awesome. Okay, so got that done. Now let's talk about Disney. So yesterday they announced that Jeff Morrell was leaving after 4 months to pursue other opportunities. Translation: we fired his ass, and he probably saw this coming. The guy was a Pentagon spokesman. He had also done the same thing for BP. I don't see where the fit was, okay? But everything is kind of a learning curve right now, I think, for Bob Chapek in this respect. He could probably trust him, but the guy didn't do his job well. Okay, so, and we all know that he fucked up Florida. And I would think someone of his political ilk, because he was a Bush appointee to the Pentagon, that he would have known better. All right. So let's go further. They put, let's see, Horatio Gutierrez, who is the head of Disney's law department, and Christina Schock, who worked for both the Clintons and Obama, as, I gotta grab that, both the Clintons and Obama in the same, sorry guys, in the same job. All right, and she's probably one that can probably keep the Hollywood lefty dudes, morons, at bay. Okay, it just that's So there you go. They can't handle the straight truth. So that's what's going on. But as if you are aware of Cameron Pasha's Patreon, and it's grown by leaps and bounds, guys. Get on there because there are Disney insiders basically saying that woke folk are saying goodbye to. Okay, so this looks like a massive. The cleaning is starting. Like I said yesterday, it seems like the Wokistan is on fire. Okay, because we've got this going. We've got the quiet, slow cleaning of Disney going on. Okay, now we've got the CW canceling Batwoman. It never, I mean, that had to go. That was, oh God, that was a bad movie. It's a bad TV show, just bad. And also, Legends of Tomorrow, DC Legends of Tomorrow. It looks to me like David Zaslav just said no more of this. And I don't know if he's in, of course, DC belongs to WB, so they might have found a buyer for CW. I mean, it is for sale, and so we'll see. But that was pretty big, and the ongoing reeing over Elon Musk. AOC got owned. And then somebody got a picture of her Tesla being parked out in front of a Whole Foods. I find, they're so transparent. They really are. I mean, I'm not kidding. Anyway, So let's go to this. So I put a link in the description about the Bill Murray thing. He was doing, I think, a talk at an investors meeting, and he talked about what happened on the set of Being Mortal. He basically, and I'm just going to give you the very short skinnies because I want to get into this, that he said something that was funny. The person he said it to didn't think it was funny and had a conniption fit. Okay. And I kind of figured when I went to look at who was in that movie, who it was. Keke Palmer. I don't know anything about her. All right. But if you go and look at her, go Google her, you'll know. You'll know. Obviously, she's screaming, she's reeing racist. She's reeing sexist. She's saying all of the words that somebody like her, I'm speculating, but I mean, come on. Anybody who's known about Bill Murray for the last 50 years knows that he is a sarcastic pain in the ass to work with, and he teases people unrelentingly. I think he's the middle child of 9. Okay, so you immediately try to figure out, hey Dave, you immediately in that situation try to figure out how to make yourself stand out, and so he did. And Keke Palmer's reeing all the way home. Why? Look, for the last 6-7 years, people like this have been allowed to do and say and behave any way they want. Okay? How many of the people in BLM have been charged with arson in Minneapolis? Okay. Probably 0. All right. Every weekend in Chicago, black on black crime. No one cares. Okay. Because these people have been allowed to feel like they're victims. And they are victims, but they're victims of the power elites. Okay. Yeah, you're right, Dave. You're right. They're the victims of, the power elites. And people like Keke Palmer, they all kind of just go along with it. And they're also racists, okay? Look, you can tell if a black woman right now is moderately attractive in that business, I guarantee you. First off, she's getting more work than the white blonde, okay? And she's definitely getting more work than a ginger, okay? And the reason why is because there are check marks. They don't care if they're talented. There are check marks to off, right? So we've got this. Bill Murray, he's not a racist. We all know that. He was, and when you read this article, it's going to piss you off because why does he have to worry about being sensitive? Why doesn't that bitch find a fucking sense of humor? Okay? Look, I am not going to let that woman, I mean, look, she's 2 categories of untouchable. She's a whammon and she's black. In fact, let me tell you something. She's far more untouchable than a black man. In fact, the second most put upon group in this bullshit world we live in right now are black men. Okay. Oprah can't wait to shit on black men because her daddy was bad to her, so there you go. So, they all deserve it. And black women are given a lot of leeway to do whatever the fuck they want. Look at Oprah. You know, there's somebody please explain to me why she has $3 billion. Where the actual fuck did that come from? She look, she has never created a franchise that sells merchandise, that puts butts in seats. I can't, the movie she's been in, The Color Purple, that's it. She's a television network executive, big deal, all right? Her fucking talk show where she basically created the cult of victimhood. This entire industry dedicated to poor me. Woe is you, woe is you. You didn't get a pony when you were 5. The world owes you, all right? You're black, the world owes you. You're a whammon, the world owes you. You're gay, the world owes you. That's victimhood in a nutshell. She created that, okay? I've talked about this. And now we've got this chick, Keke Palmer, it appears to me, trying to cancel Bill Murray. Look, here's the deal. If he said, I'm trying to figure out what he could have said. I would have laughed. Because he's funny. And he's full of shit all the time, okay? He probably said something that would have made Ernie Hudson laugh. That would have made Eddie Murphy laugh. That would have, think about it. But they're black men. And they understand what a sense of humor is. Ernie Hudson has worked with Murray for decades. They know each other. I'm sure he's like, Keke, what the fuck is wrong with you? She's a black woman, and she's special. She's a chosen person, all right? Her virtue is that she's black and a woman. That's it, all right? That's her virtue. And I'm literally like, I can't even. But I looked at that cast, and I'm looking at Bill going, why are you working with Seth Rogen? He's a piece of shit. He's an anti-Christian bigot, all right? And he thinks he's fine with that because he's Jewish. Okay, another minority whose history has been kind of sad. However, that doesn't give him a right as a Jew to treat people poorly or to be a bigoted asshole because they're not, okay? And there are some other people that I'm like, I don't even know who these people are. Bill, why are you in this? What could have, he doesn't need the money. But when I read the article and it said, I was hoping it was Rogan because I would laugh my ass off. Rogan will eventually meet the karmic tower of power and find himself on the other end of it. Him and Sarah Silverman with their Christmas, anti-Christmas show, deserve they deserve to fail. Okay, they deserve to disappear like Amber Heard does. Okay, because they're hateful, they're bigots, they're ugly. Okay, I look at Keke Palmer and I think she's ugly too. All right, no one's supposed to make a joke at her expense. Would you like to try being a devout Catholic? Try it. Just do it. In conversation where people don't know that you're Catholic. Or better yet, you've got some member of the Church of Christ or a or a Southern Baptist or Baptist in general or a non-denominational sola scriptura freak and they find out you're Catholic. Go through that, okay? Those are supposed to be fellow Christians, all right? My husband knew a guy who told him if you eat white bread, you're going to hell. All right. Um, but I guess if you're Jewish, you can get away with saying shitty things. All right. Fine. That's fine. But if I say something shitty about them, I get in trouble. If I say something shitty about anybody, I get in trouble. That's bullshit. Okay? That is bullshit. I mean, I'll give you an example. The Rat Pack. Hey, Cross Element, you've got Dean Martin, Catholic, Italian Catholic. Frank Sinatra, Italian Catholic. You've got Sammy Davis Jr., Black Jewish. They loved each other. They gave each other shit constantly. Okay? If you, there isn't. All right, let's get into history. When Martin Luther waddled his fat ass up to the door of the cathedral and put a nail in the door and said, and put his 99 Theses up there. And look, the church is an institution, as all institutions. Disney's an institution. The government's an institution. PNC Bank is an institution. Institutions are made of people. The church at the time was made of people who were selling indulgences. Okay. And there were people who, Martin Luther, John Calvin, a lot of others, who looked at that as being wrong. And it is wrong. But again, institutions are made of people. Okay. And at the end of the day, that had to be fixed. Okay. But what they did was create such a division between Christian denominations, and created such an ignorant divide between denominations that, I mean, like I said, when I was a kid, my friend Jane's hell bitch grandmother told me I was going to hell because I was Catholic. And I'm looking at her going, do you even know what the fuck you're talking about? You know, but they don't. They don't. Okay. So when you're in a mixed group and you've got a few people of faith and, you know, they don't even know you're Catholic and they say something shitty about the Pope. Okay. They don't know anything about how that works at all. Okay. The infallibility is extremely complicated. And he says very few things that come from that. From it's basically from the throne of Peter. Okay, that's what that means. And he says very, very few things that are considered infallible. And if you look at the long 2,000 years, it'll be 2,000 years in 2032, 2033, of the Catholic Church. We have had good popes. We have had mediocre popes. We have had popes that have just been there and back. And we have had lousy ones. I look at the current one we've got now. Thanks. And I think this too shall pass. And I tell every Catholic I know that complains about him, first off, you're not supposed to do that. Okay? And I don't agree with him on everything. And he treats my favorite cardinal, Cardinal Raymond Burke, like crap because Raymond Burke is conservative. He believes in bringing the Latin Mass back, TLM. He basically wants to see discipline in the priesthood. He also wants to see certain people within the church gone, like James Martin, who he's, I think, a communications guy now for the Vatican. He also supports gay marriage. I mean, he doesn't come out and say it, but he does. And he's a very, very, very transparently bad, he's a wolf in sheep's clothing. false prophet. Okay, he's a false shepherd. Okay, and everybody knows it, but he's there. And there are other things. When you get into a place with the hierarchy, with the College of Cardinals and the bishops, you've got politics, just like anything else. And that takes over from what they're supposed to be doing, which is leading the sheep, the flock, the laity, the congregation. It's very difficult to explain it to somebody who actually, believes the only way you can actually talk to God is by just saying, "Hi, God." Of course it is. Who believes that if they say, "Hey, God, I'm sorry I killed that person," he'll forgive them without actually repenting. Okay? That's all I mean, it's they don't understand sacraments, baptism, first communion, first confession, confirmation, anointing of the sick. Marriage is a sacrament. You know, there are others. Taking the vows as a priest is a sacrament. Taking the vows as a religious is a sacrament. There's so many, and they don't have a sense of the sacred. Okay, and that's the biggest problem I have. I mean, I'll give you an example. The priest that married us, he ended up being a bishop, Bishop Joe Estabrook in Hawaii. They were doing something in the chapel, which is an ecumenical chapel, you know. And one of the guys, Marines, put a can of Diet Coke on the altar. Bishop Estabrook took it off the altar and said, "That's not a table, that is an altar." Okay, you do not do that. This is a sacred thing. And he is the one that said they don't have a sense of sacred. To him, it was just a table like my kitchen island. But it is not. Okay, it is not. And that is something that they don't understand. They don't have that sense. They don't have that sense of, when you see the incense rising, the reason why we use Latin we used to use it all the time, but we use it now specifically for Lent and Advent. I wish we used it all the time. But and then they freak out and say, "Well, Greek was the first language spoke by the Christians." It's like, because Greek was spoken by Roman Christians that Peter and Paul were evangelizing. Okay, whatever. You know, it. They don't understand the history. They don't understand the sacredness, the incense, the holy water, and the fonts. They don't understand the Eucharist, and I'm not going to explain that. And it's, to them, it's such a big mystery, and most of them are so simple that they can't wrap their minds around it. All right, but I want to talk about that. Talk about Bill Murray, who is actually a Catholic, and he has expressed his love of the Latin Mass, which I love about him. Whatever he said to Keke Palmer was probably funny AF. Anybody else, like the woman who played Mrs. Claus in Fat Man, put a 1 in the chat if you've ever seen Fat Man. Mel Gibson, Walton Scoggins. It's about Santa Claus. It's about this kid who gets pissed off because he gets a lump of coal, and he's a little prick. He's a spoiled, rotten little prick. So he hires Walton Scoggins to kill Santa Claus, Mel Gibson. And the woman who played the role of Mrs. Claus is a black woman, all right? I'm sure, after working with Mel Gibson, that if she had heard whatever Bill said, she'd have been laughing her ass off, all right? There's a time and a place. Like, my mom was Norwegian, all right? If you knew the Norwegian jokes that floated around Minnesota and Wisconsin when I was a kid, Ole and Lena jokes, she didn't care. She didn't care. Irish jokes, German jokes, all right? What people like Keke Palmer don't understand is that white culture is not monolithic. White ethnicity is not monolithic. I mean, the other day, I think in the Midnight's Edge chat, some guy was trying to say, and if you're Italian, don't get insulted. I took care of it. There's a guy trying to say that Italians weren't white. Okay. Just wrap your minds around that. Christopher Columbus wasn't white. I'm sure that he also thinks that the Spanish weren't white. Portuguese aren't white. Greeks aren't white. Don't tell them that. And I think the guy was a white man, but he got himself wrapped up in the word Caucasian. What the fuck does that even mean? Okay? Because there's so many different ethnicities and there's so many different colors of white, just like there are black. Okay? And brown and yellow. Guess what? The Japanese and Koreans don't look like each other. And once you get over there and see it, you see it. The Chinese and Koreans don't look like each other. And the Chinese don't look like Japanese. Okay, there you go. That's just a little bit of, you know. But the Irish, if you gave Colin Farrell, the actor, a DNA test, $10 to a bag of donuts, says a DNA test comes back and he's got Scandinavian blood. Okay. If you gave Gerard Butler, who is Scottish, of Irish heritage, a DNA test, he has, Scandinavian blood lines, okay? Prince Philip was Danish, okay? The French, you had the Gauls, and then you had the Bretons, and, the Spanish, you've got the Basques and the Iberians, and Italians, you've got Tuscans and Calabrians and people from Abruzzi and Rome and Sicilians. And, Sicilians aren't like other Italians. Okay, that's fine. All right, the Greeks, okay, it goes on and on and on. But and I'm telling you, this guy was white. I'm like, because if my mother-in-law had heard that, she'd have lost her mind. Okay, 100% Italian from Abruzzi. All right, she would have been pissed. It is stupid. Okay, it is dumb. I remember one of my professors saying, I don't believe in race. The further south you get in Europe, the darker people are. My dad was German and Swiss and maybe Austrian. He had jet black hair and dark eyes. And he tanned. And his friends convinced he was a Native American. Today, to this day, Tom Bridle, his best friend, would say, no, he's a Sioux Indian. And no, he wasn't. He was joking with you and you believed it. Okay, because he would laugh. He'd look at me and wink, and I'd be like, oh, Daddy, don't do that. So, and I'm sure Keke Palmer doesn't understand that. Bill Murray's Irish, okay? But he's tall, so I guarantee you, if he took the inner swab, sent it in, he'd come back with some Scandinavian blood. Because migration, what happened in the year 780? Lindisfarne in Ireland. The village on the shores of the sea there, facing Scotland, I think. I think it was on the east side of Ireland, got ransacked by the Vikings. You know, my ancestors, okay? And I would like, if I could trust 23andMe not to sell my DNA to anybody, but the idea that they don't, just like bullshit. Okay, bullshit. Because I would love to see. Because, we've got, my mom said, and my cousins verified this, the ones that actually study this stuff. In Norway said we've got Scottish blood. So there you go, because one of my Viking ancestors probably dragged a Scotswoman back from the Highlands and married her, forced her into, you know. But, Keke Palmer's one of those people that would see the Northmen and get pissed off because they're all white. Well, they're Scandinavian. And there were no black Scandinavians. There were no Latino Scandinavians. There were no Asian Scandinavians. Okay. Scandinavians are tall, red-haired, or blonde-haired, or brown-haired, mostly blue-eyed, fair-skinned people. And back in the day, they were the biggest badasses on the planet. Okay, and the thing about them, the Vikings would go in when they first started raiding, raid and leave. Okay, then they thought, why don't we just stay here? And it got to the point where the king of France was so pissed off, he gave them Normandy. Why is it called Normandy? Because it was given to the Norsemen. William the Conqueror was Norwegian. Okay? I found that out in Ireland. And then they went trying to tame Ireland. Good luck, boys. Okay? Because the Celts are even crazier. All right? But the Celts are white. They're dark Celts. In fact, here's something that would throw anybody like Keke Palmer into a conniption. I think this was like 10, 15 years ago. They took the DNA of Tutankhamun. He was Celtic. The kings of Egypt were that dynasty had a lot of white blood in it. Okay. Egypt has always been like a crossroads of the Mediterranean. And when you see people insisting that there were black pharaohs, and there might have been, but when you look, people like Keke Palmer freak out that Gal Gadot is playing Cleopatra. If you ever look at the coins that were minted back during her reign, she was whiter than I am. Okay? We're talking about the Ptolemaic dynasty, the Greco-Roman period of Egyptian history. All right. Ptolemy the general was given Egypt after Alexander died. Alexander's still, Moon Knight found him. Alexander is yet to be found. Okay. He was buried in Alexandria someplace. But that dynasty, Alexander was 500 BC? No, 300 BC. So that dynasty was maybe 10 generations old. And, I know. 320, thank you, Dave. And Cleopatra was inbred. Her father, I don't know what Ptolemy married, but like he married his niece or something and had her, okay, and a sister who was captured by the Romans and paraded through the streets of Rome in a triumph, and I think they executed her. Her brother disappeared. He was supposed to be the Pharaoh of Egypt. He disappeared, likely killed by the Romans, right? The idea that we can't have history because they have to put a racist bent to it and not tell the truth. Go into German history and see what the Nazis were teaching kids about history. And that's exactly what these people want to teach our kids. Okay. Not a good thing. Okay. Keke Palmer. Bill Murray, who's been an institution in our culture for 50 years, makes a joke and she can't deal with it. Can I tell you how ignorant she was? She probably didn't even know who he was. Okay? She probably didn't even know who he was. Now, he says that they've been talking and that they've talked about, oh, well, we like each other's work and blah, blah, blah. Fine. I don't believe a word she says. You want to know why? Because I don't think she was interested enough to look at other cultures, they think, films. I can't imagine her sitting through Ghostbusters. I can't imagine her sitting through Lost in Translation, which was a great movie, by the way. See it. I can't see her sitting through Groundhog Day. Okay? I just can't. Why? Because she's a racist. Okay? With no sense of humor. Who's been given carte blanche to be able however the fuck she wants to by Hollywood. Because she is an untouchable. She's a woman and she's black. Blake Lively behaved like this. They wouldn't like it too much. Okay? Alright? They wouldn't go on too well. Okay? She would have to figure it out. It's, so we have to sit there and watch a guy like Bill Murray squirm because this angry black female is upset about a joke. I so want to find out what he said. And the reason why is because I want to judge how hard I should laugh. Okay? The guy is hilarious. You don't take a guy like that seriously. Okay? When he's joking around. When he's being sarcastic. And he's had his problems. I mean, he can be a Devo. Richard Dreyfuss hates him. But he behaved like an asshole. And I've seen Murray say I wasn't doing very well then. And, that's not an excuse. But there you go. Okay? I think Murray understands who he is. Okay? People bring up his feud with Harold Ramis, which started on the set of Groundhog Day. And when you find out that Murray was getting divorced and he was upset about it, you understand the emotions. The fact that when Ramis got sick, Murray showed up before he passed away with the police escort and drove him around town. Okay. Bill is a flawed man like Mel Gibson is, like Robert Downey Jr. is. Okay. Flawed man, but he's a good man. Okay. And the idea that this woman can literally have such a freak out that they suspend production of a movie for her is unfucking believable. Now, if I ran Searchlight, I would be asking Bob Chapek, can I find somebody else can we get, can we reshoot all of her scenes? Okay. Half the movie's been filmed. Can we reshoot all of her scenes? I want her gone. Okay. Why? I don't, Matt Piranha, I'd like to know what he said. But why would I want her gone? Because now everybody's got to walk around with ball gags in their mouths be, because she's on set. Okay? You can't work like that. It is not Bill Murray's job to censor himself. Everybody knows when they hire him what they're getting. They're getting a sarcastic asshole, but he brings it. He delivers the goods. Okay? That's the thing. All right? Yeah, and she's basically, he didn't make the set toxic. She did. Okay? And I'll tell you something, a lot of people are now gonna see that. I want to, it's like people like Ricky Gervais, okay, getting a bunch of toxic females up there like they did for the Oscars isn't gonna help. No one likes those women. They're bitches. Okay. Here's something else I want to talk about. There is somebody that a lot of the bigger channels get a lot of money from who's been bad mouthing Cameron. And I'm not going to say who it is, but if he shows up here, he's banned. Okay, he did something really shitty, said something really shitty, and hey, Joker voice, how you doing, man? And first off, it was like at 3 in the, look, I'll tell you guys a story and you guys are gonna go, oh, okay, this is fucked up. Last night at 3:25 in the morning, there was something outside the window. We have a second-story house, and I mean, when we're in our bedroom, it's 3 stories down. Okay, we got the grinder pump right there, and I'm laying there, and also we hear the sound. Oh yeah, well, go, if you're not a member of Cameron's Patreon, go read it, if you are a member. It sounded like wheezing, and it sounded like coughing. I thought it was the dog. I was getting ready to get out of bed, get dressed, and take him to the emergency vet. And then it stopped. And my husband got up to use the bathroom. And he came back out and he said, I could hear it outside. I could still hear it. Whatever it was moved off from in the area by we have a retainment pond right there. It must have been on the other side of it. And I couldn't find any sign. We figured out it was a deer. But white-tailed deer make a lot of different noises. One I shot squealed or bleated like a sheep. It was a doe. Good eating deer, man, but a young doe. It was a long time ago I shot that deer. Bucks grunt, they roar, they go like that. And then they make these it sounds like a sneezing sound. Yeah, but it's like a sneezing sound. And then they make this sort of squishy wheezing sound. And it was a squishy wheezing sound. Whatever was going on, because we've got this kind of woods in the back. Back in November, it was noon. The church next door was playing hymns on its clarion. Dog was out, screwing around. He just went down the stairs, and a gigantic buck ran across the highway, ran through the neighbor's yard and into our woods. And I watched him till he basically disappeared. I think what? It is the second or the last day of Ramadan. So he hasn't been on for a month because he's doing the Ramadan thing. And he's got that big stars project, and he's got some other things coming too, I guess. So anyway, so we were like, I didn't know what it was. It scared me. I thought it was a dog. So I'm laying there. I look at my phone, and this guy says something. As long as that charlatan Cameron isn't, I'm like, it's not Grandmaster Jim. It wasn't the channel. It was somebody subbed. Okay. I was so angry, but I didn't say anything. But I made to the guy that runs it because he's a friend of mine. This person has gotten so toxic about Cameron that Cameron's actually talked to several that get a lot of money from this guy, and about this guy bad mouthing him. And I'm like, look, you know what? You tried it here. You come here and do that. Okay, do that. I'm gonna let you have it. All right. Look, if someone like him is gonna give you time, like an hour, to talk about whatever topic of the day, then you've got it. Then you've got to have that respect out there. Okay, and you've got to take care of that. And I was livid. I'm like, so that was interesting. And this morning, when I was trying to figure out what that sound was, there's a video of a doe, I think it's in Texas, and one of her fawns died. She had twins, and the vultures were circling, and she was making that sound that we heard. Okay, and I told my husband, I go, next time, I'm getting up, I'm coming downstairs, I'm getting the big flashlight, I'm gonna flash it into the woods to see if I can see it. Okay, we have rabbits out there at night all the time. All right, in fact, Kojak disrupted a love nest going on a few weeks ago. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Get out of my yard. Go down the hill. But he was like, not in my yard. This is not the bunny. This is not the bunny ranch. Get out. It was really funny. But he's starting to exert his authority in his territory, and it's pretty hilarious. I mean, the other things that hang around when he's out there are the birds. Because he'll just kind of look at him and go, Man, oh man, if he sees the cat, that thing, he almost caught it the other day. Wolves, no. Coyotes, yeah. What I think was going on last night is I think that deer was either running from a predator or got hit by a car. I don't know. But when I first heard it, I thought it was a snore. It sounds like a raspy cough that they make. One time, a long time ago, I was sitting there at a point of trees, and about 50 yards away was a clump of trees, something like that, and you could see through it. And these does came out from behind us, literally 2 feet away. I was like, because I was kneeling down, looking up at them. They walked into the trees, and the older one, I think it was probably the mom, sat there stomping and snorting at us and making that, it sounds like a sneeze or a cough or a sneeze cough. Okay. That's what I thought I heard. So I thought she could have been looking at a coyote or something. Maybe, because the coyotes kill fawns. Anyway, it wasn't that. It was the other thing. It was that squishy, wheezy, weird sound. But there's a video of a doe making that sound, so I was like, it was a deer. First thing one of the guys at the gun club this morning goes, wasn't a bear, was it? It's like, that's all we need. But we don't live close enough to the mountains here for the bears to come, even though I wouldn't be surprised. I wake up early one morning and look out the window and there's a bear in the backyard. Look down at Kojak and say, you're not going out yet. Sorry, dude, cross your legs. Squeeze cheeks, okay, because you ain't going out. I'm not going out either. Black bears or something, but yeah, ginger, what are you, all right, ginger side. Yeah, it is. Guys were talking about yesterday on Midnight's Edge, and they came to the conclusion that, because so many characters, we've got better than that, Jim. We got better than that. Yeah. Yeah. I might wake up the whole neighborhood, but probably should get some bear spray. But they're talking about how many gingers are in comics, and the reason why is because red hair, that color, is easier to see. Okay. But while I think that's partly true, I think the reason why you see race swapping, and it's not swapping a ginger for a blonde or a brunette. It's literal race swapping. And it's because the whitest of the white are redheads. The whitest of the white are redheads. I have 2 ginger nieces. They're beautiful. And it's impossible for me to understand why anybody would do that. But look, when you're in Hollywood and talk about this. I will bet $1,000 that the character that Keke Palmer plays was a white woman. And they decided, even if it's a true story, to give it to her because they needed to check a box off. We need a black woman to play this role. All right. First off, it doesn't do Keke Palmer any good to give her a boost up. Okay, it just doesn't. I don't care what anybody says. It doesn't. All right. It doesn't help the production if she's not talented enough for it. It doesn't help the production when she's such a oversensitive diva and a racist herself that everybody else has to walk around on tiptoes. Okay. Now, I'm going to say this. What bothers me a great deal is that the directors are not white. Okay. And they should have told her, no, you're fine. You need to calm down. You need to slow your roll. Go talk to Bill about it. Tell him he was being insensitive and let it go, Martha, Karen. Okay? Women like her are basically honorary members of the Awfuls. Well, and that's true. I mean, it's like, look, they were freaking out because the Northmen had all white masculine men. And, Nicole Kidman, redhead. Guess what? Scandinavians have red hair. Okay. Slavs are white. Okay. Norwegians are white. Danes are white. Swedes are white. Laplanders are white. There aren't any black ones anywhere. So the idea that you could race, like, let's race swap Hamlet because, first off, it's probably based on a true story. Okay. They wanted Anne Boleyn Oh, you're right, Lawrence. I mean, you're right. I mean, that's true. I mean, they made Anne Boleyn a black woman. And look where that landed. You know, bombed. It bombed. It fucking bombed. Okay? Stop doing that. Look, I can be just as insulted by somebody like Keke, and I am right now, as she can be insulted by me. All right? Learn to get along. The world doesn't revolve around you, and I'm not gonna throw you a fucking parade if you're black, white, red, yellow, purple, chartreuse spots, Latino, Asian, gay, bi, you do bunnies, okay? You're not getting a parade. You're not getting a celebration. You're not gonna get me and everybody else to drop to our knees and go, oh, what would we do without you? Oh, fuck that shit, okay? So anyway, I gotta go downstairs and work out. I'm on here a lot longer than I thought I would be, and this was kind of meandering. But what's going on at Disney is real, okay? What's going on, it's not apparent because Jeff Morrell is a shiny object. What's going on is different, all right? And I've said this before. It is going to be quiet, and we are not going to hear about this stuff. Apparently, we're going to hear about it through Cameron sources. We're going to see people, that are listed as employees not there anymore. Okay, just like we did Carrie Hart. All right. When I look at the people who were hired that were in that video, LaToya Ravenel, Latondra Newton, they're diversity hires. That's it. And they're the first ones to get the axe. As well they should. Okay? Disney is not their activist playground. All right? Hi, Kojak. All right, first off, I'll let you guys see Koji. Koji! Koji, come here. Come here, buddy. Come here. Come. Baby boy, come. Kojak. There he is. He's such a big, massive dog. He's a very good boy. Huh? Koji Woji. All right. The best dog in the world. Okay, so he said to say hi. Yeah, he is. He weighs, I'm going to say 116 now. So yeah, he's getting there. But I gotta go because I need to work out. My husband's going to be home soon. Talk to y'all later. See you around the galaxy. Behave, be safe. And until next time, see ya.